I commonly get asked the question, how many times a week should I work out? What's optimal? What's best for me? And I personally work out 7 days a week. Just because I work out 7 days a week doesn't mean you should work out 7 days a week. As a matter of fact, a lot of you probably thinking, well, isn't 7 days a week too much anyways? Well, I'm gonna answer that question the same way I start off the answer to any other question, that is, it depends. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy John Mango, and I'm here representing Beyond the Iron, where I'm looking to take your fitness and your nutrition further so you may, if you follow the advice, change your life forever. So if you are new to the channel, I just want to say welcome. Thanks for stopping by, watching the video, and that I do drop content regarding meal plans, nutrition, fitness tips, strategies, everything in between to help you get to your fitness goals. So if you're interested in getting to your fitness goals, you should be, then consider subscribing. That being said, today we're going to be talking about workout frequency. Now, this is actually going to relate to a couple different videos that I recently did based off workout splits. And again, this is where those questions stemmed. You know, why should I do it more often? How many times a week should I be hitting muscle groups? How many times a week should I go to the gym? And so on. So if you want to check those videos out, you can click right here. They talk about how to make your own workout split and one that's going to be optimal for you. But in today's case, we're going to talk about frequency itself, and I'm going to break down a little bit more, dive into detail as to why frequency is important. If you didn't know, frequency is actually one of the three main factors that contributes to muscle growth, strength progress, and all that stuff, alright? So you're going to need to keep this one factor in mind. The other two are volume and intensity. Now, before I dive into the content, all those haters are waiting on the keyboard ready to call me out here and be like, this is bro science bullshit. You should know by now that I don't spit bro science bullshit. I wouldn't be making these videos to begin with. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop studies at the bottom of the description below. You can go ahead and check those out. I will be referring to some of them. That is going to make sure that what I'm saying here is backed up and that I'm not just saying things just because I like to hear my own voice. Let's start off by describing what frequency is. Frequency is simply how you organize your volume and intensity throughout the week based on your schedule, your timing, and your goals. So in other words, you know, how many times a week are you hitting a push day or a chest day, or how many times you're doing your legs, how many times you're doing cardio, all of that, the how many times a week, how many times a day, that's how much frequency you're doing. Frequency actually impacts three main things when it comes to making progress in the gym. So we're gonna dive into each one in a little bit more detail. The first thing you have to be aware of is how frequency can impact and improve your learning, meaning how you learn a specific lift, how often you do those lifts. So let's go ahead and dive into that first aspect, which is learning lifts. Learning a lift essentially means obviously getting better at that specific lift. Getting better at a lift or multiple lifts over time ideally would lead to you seeing more results in that particular lift, which when combined with the right nutrition is going to lead to progressively better muscle gains. In order to get better, stronger at that lift, you have to do it more often. Now, this is different than doing more of it in one session. So actually breaking the volume up into more frequent sessions has been shown to be a lot more beneficial in terms of learning and getting stronger at lifts. And the reason for that is, when you think about it, it would be, for example, the same as cramming all of your studying into one 6-hour session or spreading it out across multiple shorter sessions throughout the week. Most of the time, the multiple sessions of studying is going to be far more effective because you constantly keep relearning and rememorizing certain things in order to actually learn them better. The same thing applies here. So if you try to cram all your volume and try to learn an entire lift in one session, obviously the frequency is not there, and what happens is your performance in that session is going to degrade as it goes along. So let me give you an example. When you start the session off, let's say you're doing a push day, you start off and you're doing a bench press or push-ups, anything really, you're going to have the most energy at the beginning of that session. As the session goes on, you do more exercises, more load, more volume, your form tends to break down a lot easier. It's a lot easier to not be so good and not get the most out of those exercises. So instead of doing 10 sets of bench press in one session, as each set starts getting and degrading a little bit more and more, it would be better to split them up into, say, even just 2 different workouts throughout the week, each at 5 sets. That way you'll have at least 2 sets throughout the week that are at maximum freshness, you could say, maximum capability. You're gonna have the most energy for them. Your body's gonna learn them a lot faster that way. So it's very simple. When somebody says you wanna get better at the bench, just bench more, what they're really saying, and what I would really be saying, is bench more frequently. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, it's not gonna be as beneficial. Let's take the studying example again. If you study for 5 minutes a day, 6 days straight, it's still not going to be effective enough because it's not enough volume in that one session. So you do want to make sure that you're getting enough volume per session. So in other words, again, if you do 1 set of the bench press at the beginning of the workout 7 days a week, it's still not going to be enough total volume and enough total repetitions in one setting for your body to adapt and create the right motor pattern for that specific lift. So that's something else to keep in mind. The second aspect that frequency impacts is going to be recovery. Obviously, recovery is the name of the game. That's what I like to say, because if you're not recovering, you're not going to progress as quickly as possible. Now, recovery can be impeded, again, if you're cramming too much volume in one session. Why is that? Well, I've touched on this in the past, but again, there's something called muscle protein synthesis, which is essentially the process of your muscles building up bigger and stronger after they've been stimulated to do that. Now, there's actually a threshold that every person has individually that's going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. There is rough numbers, somewhere between 70 to 110 reps per week, but that all depends on your experience level in the gym and whatnot. But what you need to know is that once you hit that stimulus, if you go far above hitting that stimulus, you're actually not getting more out of that session, and you could be getting less. So in other words, when people go in the gym and crank chest for 3 hours, trust me, I was there and I saw no gains. My chest is literally the weakest part of my body now, so I gotta make up for it. People would be like, yeah, I can't push the door open. I had a sick chest workout. Oh, I'm so sore. I can't even push the door. Whatever the case is, that is actually not a good thing. You're better off splitting up the volume in between sessions, because again, you're going to take more advantage of muscle protein synthesis, which does stop after 48 hours post-workout, and you're going to take more advantage of muscle protein synthesis post-workout. Actually, recent studies that we do have, and again, they will be linked below, shows an improvement in 4 different things in terms of recovery from having a higher frequency. The first one is actually better neuromuscular adaptation. So that's going to tie into the first one. You're going to get better at the lifts. You're going to get more efficient at them. Your body's going to learn them quicker and better. Second thing that is improved in terms of recovery is actually your hormonal markers. This will relate to the muscle protein synthesis point that I said, whereas you're constantly keeping it elevated. Instead of just elevating it for 48 hours once a week, you'll do it multiple times throughout the week. Therefore, for example, your chest is under elevated protein synthesis for long periods of time. The third benefit from that is going to be strength improvement, which kind of comes from those first 2. And the fourth is actually noticeable results and significant improvement in overall lean muscle mass. Now we're going to come back a little bit in the terms of too much frequency. There was actually a recent study done by Brad Schoenfeld. These are obviously great studies, as are the other ones linked below. The Brad Schoenfeld study studied people doing 3 different days per week. One, I believe, was a chest and back, one was a shoulders and arms, and one was a legs. And they repeated that, so it's similar to a push-pull leg split. And then they compared that to others that were doing full body every single day. And they showed that the people doing that 3-day split noticed dramatic increases in muscle mass and strength gain over the people doing it way more frequently. But again, the volume was going to be too much on their part, and that's why we came up with that result. The last part that you need to keep in mind when it comes to frequency is organization. So this is simply going to come down to being able to more efficiently organize your workouts, your splits, your volume across your specific schedule, your timing, and all that. So for example, some people have 2 hours to work out 7 days a week, and others might only have 3 days a week with 1 hour. So what you have to do first before you determine frequency is determine how much volume you're going to be giving each body part or each lift, depending on your goal, if it's strength, if it's muscle mass. But determine your volume first. If you're doing 70 reps per muscle group per week, and you can only do it 3 times a week, perfect. Split that up evenly between the 3 sessions, or you could focus more reps on one specific muscle group in the first session and lighter, less volume on the other 2 sessions. Also, for the sake of timing, again, if somebody has 2 hours to work out and maybe they need more volume, perfect. Then you want to make sure that you break up the frequency so that you can fit that amount of volume within each time session, whereas somebody with 1 hour is going to want to focus on maybe only 1 or 2 lifts per muscle group, but really packing on volume on just those 1 or 2 lifts, because you're going to get the most out of those, and you're going to be able to continuously keep repeating those same lifts to get the most out of them. So for example, if you only have an hour to work out 3 days a week, you don't want to be going in there and wasting any of your time on bicep curls and tricep pushdowns. You should focus more on the compounds and get a lot of your volume into those few exercises. Okay, now if you stayed until this part of the video, first and foremost, I appreciate you for sticking around and watching the video, and I hope that you've learned a lot so far. If you have, please give it a like, comment below your thoughts and your current split, and if you feel like this would help, maybe if you think something else would help, let me know below. I'd love to know what you're going through right now. Now, overall recommendations for frequency to be safe for a more general population is always going to be 2 to 3 times a week, hitting each muscle group and each lift this many times, okay? Because most people, at least you should make time for at least 3 days of working out per week. And again, if you can, cram volume into each lift that you want to focus on to bring up certain muscle groups in each of those workouts. Now you can swap between them. The first day you could start with a squat, a deadlift, a bench press, and overhead press. The next day you could switch the exercises, but again, just make sure you're getting enough volume split over those sessions. So figure out your volume first, how many reps, how many sets, rest, all that stuff, and then from there you can split it up evenly according to your schedule. If it's 4 times a week, then you could probably do a little bit more volume, and in which case you could split it up differently. Maybe you need to spend more time on the upper body in one session and the lower, and the workouts are going to be too long. In that case, perfect, break it up into an upper and lower split. So you're putting lots of volume on your upper body in day 1 and then lots of volume on the lower body in day 2, and that way you can keep those workouts within the time frame that you have scheduled for yourself. And again, this is all going to tie back to why the bro split is no good. You're cramming volume, you're only hitting them once a week. It's all over the place. You're not getting the most hormonal markers for recovery. You're not getting the frequency you need to learn the lifts properly, and you're just not going to make as many gains. This is why something like a push-pull legs, if you're working out 6 days a week, is great. 4 days a week, I always recommend upper lower. 5 days a week, I recommend an upper lower, and then split the volume a little bit more, push-pull legs. 3 times a week, full body. Again, you'll notice that frequency is extremely important, and I hope I was able to demonstrate to you in this video why and how it's so important. If you did learn something and you enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below, comment your thoughts, your concerns, or anything else you'd like to see on this channel, and I'd be sure to make that for you. Also, share it with your friends that need some help making some gains, and as always, guys, subscribe for weekly fitness content. I always appreciate you for watching. I appreciate the support, and I can't wait to see you guys in that next video. Thanks again. I'm out.